oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and did not help you? He will reply, Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me.
Ron. Oh, there we go. There we go. How you doing?
Pretty good. That was intense. Oh,
yeah, it was fun, huh?
Yeah, that was well done.
The Bible is a hoot. even through AI, through the lens.
That was quite enjoyable. It was theatrical, but not schmaltzy.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, considering all things considered.
Yeah.
So, all right, today's theme is, what is power? I put in description a couple Bible references. And since we had, it was pretty funny, Ixnon quoted, what's the name of the guy that Paul just interviewed? The businessman. Why is my memory? What is that guy's name? Anyway, he quoted him and said, power, where's Ixnon? Power equals time, comma, energy, comma, and attention.
Right.
That's a very worldly view of power.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think I like today's thumbnail. It was a mashup of a couple of thumbnails that came out pretty cool.
That's really I like that. And it bothered me a little bit because I'm like, you know, that's not me. Well, that guy's got more hair, so that's good.
Yeah, that's not you. That's not you. That was
Was-
never intended to be you. It's just for some reason it does resemble some of the other renderings of you in some
Yeah.
ways, but
This
it
is a
wasn't
woman.
intended to be you. It's just the machine got who
This
knows
is
what it was thinking.
this is the machine me. Yeah.
I could change that. I offered to change
No,
that.
I love it. I think actually, all kidding aside, that really is good. You know, I think that really it kind of sums it up. I'm like, if you want to explain what it was like for Jesus, I'm like, oh, there you go.
Well, it's supposed to be Pilate and Jesus,
Hmm.
as described in John chapter 19.
Hmm.
And he says, let me pull it up to make sure I got it right here. And I'll put us back on screen.
Hmm.
It says, and depending on your translation, this is just NIV. It says, "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Pilate said. "Do you realize I have power either to free you or to crucify you?" And Jesus answered, "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." So, well, there's a whole that last sentence is a real theological can of worms. We're gonna have to, but I am particularly interested in the first full sentence of Jesus' statement in verse 11. "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above."
Right.
I mean, it really sets in stark relief the this whole business, all this other gibberish that we engage in about what is power, whether it's this whole time, attention, energy, power is agency, the ability to act, Smith history says. I mean, all that's true at a level.
Hmm.
Jonathan Paju likes to talk about levels. Jesus is
Hierarchies.
playing. This is the really interesting level. I really like how this took a little time to get the AI to get it right, but you see the little Roman soldiers in the background, and right next to them in rank is a demon.
Right. Yeah.
and there's Pilate, and right next to him is demon, and then there's behind him is an archangel,
Yeah.
wielding the real sword, ready to off these dudes with just a nod from their Lord. And Jesus says,
Yeah.
"No, I like this. I like this quite a bit."
Yeah.
It's
No.
if I do say so myself, I like this. I like this idea. You could depict this 1,000 different ways, but I like the theme for
Hmm.
it. At a spiritual level, if you believe in such things, this to me is probably more about how it works.
I like, yeah. So, yeah. See, Marcus, is that Ron? No, Mark,
No.
put me back on. I love it. I love it.
This is Ron as a powerful man of state.
This was me before I got saved.
This is Ron with his red robes his red toga of imperial power.
That's it. Yeah. If I had been a Roman.
Hey, I finally got Ron right.
Oh.
William says transcendent versus immanent.
Yeah.
Say that in English.
Yeah. Read the people.
What do you really mean by? See, this is we use these big schmancy fancy words. I want to know what they mean in English. Put them in people speak.
People speak.
I want to
talk to me like we're talking at
around here. I want to start getting mean.
No, I got an idea. I'm going to help you.
Okay.
When Grimm was talking to John Vervaeke, and Grimm said, "Well, how would you talk to someone?" And John Vervaeke's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well, how can you explain your stuff to someone at Walmart?" And John Vervaeke said he couldn't, which totally sunk his ship. But what I liked is the way Grimm presented it is talk to me like you're talking to someone at Walmart. And if you can't do it there, you are not a viable candidate for whatever rocket you're trying to launch,
Right.
in my opinion.
Oh, goodness. Well, part of the reason we were delayed getting started, my password vault is deciding to be difficult.
Oh,
So I was having difficulty, and I'm still not. It won't let me log in on one device, and that's very frustrating. I hate when stuff like that happens.
yeah.
Talk about power.
That thing, that could be an issue.
All right. Yeah, could be. It could be an issue.
But do you have, I don't even want to talk about it online.
No. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. By the way, for those of you, we'll take a brief diversion. Let me show you. This is Honey today.
Oh,
And I'll show you a picture. She's looking better.
wow.
She's finally on the mend.
Oh, there you go.
We had our first good day yesterday. She actually
Mhm.
slept through the night
Yeah.
before last. And yesterday was a good solid day. She ate. She didn't have out of control issues with her bowels.
Right.
And so she's back to normal, looking like
Congrats.
herself. Considerably, she's lost a lot of weight in the course of about 8 days or 9 days, but she's much improved, and we really appreciate your prayers, because I was not sure if she didn't get the diarrhea under control, we were going to lose her.
Wow, the dehydration. Yeah, I got you.
So she's doing good.
Excellent. You got it. All right.
So thank you for the prayers, and we definitely appreciate it. So jinx. Okay, anybody wants to hop in? The link is pinned.
All right,
let me go real quick. Let me just read the other. I mentioned, we talked about John 19. Then there was also Ephesians 6:20, which is the other one that I think it was 6:20. Yep. Make sure I got it right here. Ephesians 6:12. Sorry, 6:12. And we'll just read this in the King James. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What do you think about all this, Ron? And you just muted yourself.
Okay, so so first off, this is the way it is. Everyone else who is visiting, they're welcome to their opinion, but we start from the position, okay, so this is it. This is how this game works. Now, with that out the way, can you, I'm reading something. Oh, well. Yeah, that one's serious. Lord, in the name of Jesus, for Mark, we pray for his father-in-law and his mother-in-law and Mark's wife and Mark himself, the kids. Oh God, we lift them up to you right now, that you help them, that your presence tangibly minister to them, give them peace of mind and heart, and that your peace that passes all understanding minister to them. This is going to sound odd, but Lord, that your joy be with them in hard times, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
So, all right, there's your power from on high. I'm just the mailman.
Yep. Yep.
I was thinking about this because it's not always, people always think of Pontius Pilate being, and then the Pharisees being guilty because they got power from on high, which in some way, yeah, they absolutely did. And Satan had power from on high, and he decided to use it incorrectly. So I think everyone's given power in some way. It's kind of like a position in the military. You're given a place, a rank within an order, and what you do with it is what you get. You reap what you sow. But if you reap well, you sow well. So I think everyone has power in some way. And that's just the way the universe is set up. God's top dog. And from that, you have everyone else, living within that system. I don't want to say system, order. So I was thinking about it. I wonder if it has a lot to do with free will. Because Satan had, in some way, free will. He just decided to go, no. And that's what's boogering everything since then.
This is an interesting from Smith. I'm going to pronounce it Smith history. Or Smith history or Smith history, but I'll say Smith history. That is why power is agency. Everyone has some degree of it. Here's the question: do you have power? Okay, back to the image. Did Pilate? Could Pilate do anything other than what he did in this situation? When you consider all the forces at work influencing him, and if Jesus said, "You could do nothing to me if power were not given to you from upon high." I mean, it's an interesting how much agent. See, it's the idea that Paul plays with in Romans of being slaves to sin. Can you be righteous? Can you be righteous enough? Oh no, we lost Ron. No show without Ron. Okay, folks. We'll get him back soon, God willing. But can you be righteous? I don't know if Calvin would say that necessarily. But yeah, I mean, when under the influence, you have certain limitations. Well, I mean, if he had freedom, there's Ron. There's Ron. Ron.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I was pushing buttons. It went boom.
Oh, is that what you did? You broke yourself?
Yeah, I nuked myself. So anyhow, I'm back.
So anyways, we're just playing with the idea of how much agency is actual power or real. I guess you would say power is freedom.
Okay.
It's a freedom to act one way or another way. Are you free? How free is anyone not to sin? And you say, well, gee, I'm free not to sin. I don't. But then there's back to, you remember my church situation. I tell you stories about this one guy who kept doing things for which he would then have to apologize gratuitously.
Right.
Are you free from sin? Are you free if you keep having to say I'm sorry?
Well, yeah, why not? Just because.
You just keep habitually doing something. Isn't a habit for a reason? It's a habit. It's a habit in the sense that
Well,
you can't
you're
control
absolutely.
yourself. Can you control yourself around cookies?
I've been in the corner too long because I'm learning how to argue. There's a
Yes,
difference.
this is good. This is good.
So, all right. So, steel man it for me because I think how could you, just because you sin habitually doesn't mean you're not free.
Just because you sin habitually doesn't mean
Well,
you're
just
not free.
sin.
I'm not trying to excuse the
No,
sin. Hold on a
no,
second. We're not talking about excuses. We're
right.
talking
No,
about real
okay.
power to do X or Y.
Let's do. Let's talk about addiction because that way it'll make you're addicted to some substance, and you're becoming free of it. You've decided to get rid of it, but you're having a little bit of trouble shaking it. But in time you do.
Mm-hmm.
So are you free only when you don't do it, or are you free once you've determined you want to be free and you're just dealing with getting rid of it in your life?
Is an addict ever free from his addiction?
Yes, I am.
Mhm.
Smoking. This is going to sound, well, whatever it is.
Mhm.
I was addicted. I mean, hardcore. Marlboro Reds, 2.5 packs every day for about 11 years. Hello, I got company. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? Um, oh, you're going to get the copies? Yeah, you got them? Okay, good job. Okay, yeah, good job. Look, see, oh, yeah, little guy came in to get the copies for class. Okay, so I was addicted to smoking, couldn't stop, got prayer, and long story short, 2.5 weeks later, not smoking, don't want them, and I haven't been back in 24 years, and I can be around it now, and I don't crave it
Mhm.
at all. So this
Yeah.
is, anyhow. So yes, you can be free from addiction.
Mhm.
So
In your experience.
yes, and there's others. In my church, we got a lot of
Mhm.
ex crazy. So
Mhm.
would you call that anecdotal, or at what point does anecdotal become? Um, you have enough evidence to say people can become free of.
Um, there, I guess if you're like the Food and Drug Administration, right? It's predictably effective, uh, X percentage amount of the time. So out of a population of
Okay.
1,000, 10,000, a million, you will have this drug this or that drug will have a positive effect, a constructive effect, 70% of the time. That'd be a
Yeah.
scientific approach to the subject, and I'm
Okay.
not an expert on pharmaceuticals. I'm just thinking that would be a kind of approach. So, is prayer, or whatever, what would be the what's the mechanism that you're talking about? Well, the power of God through faith,
Right.
and then you might say, then somebody might say, well, would it depend on belief systems and religion? I mean, it gets thorny. We lost Michael. He was here and then he wasn't. I didn't kick him off.
Yeah, Michael, come back.
Well, all right. So back to this. I should pull this up. Anybody else? What do you want to talk about, Ron? Because I
No,
also
I
gave you
like.
the option to talk about what is Pentecostalism, because that
Well,
Chris Green interview was really fun and interesting.
which Chris Green interview?
I sent you a link to Chris Green's discussion or
Oh,
interview on what is
oh,
Pentecostalism.
let me take a look.
Maybe you didn't get to it.
Oh, I did, but I got so wrapped up in my world, I didn't punch on it. Oh, well, that's a drag.
No worries. We'll save it for another time because I think power is plenty
Yeah,
enough.
all right, let's
Plenty
do.
enough.
Okay.
Let me pull up Paul's thing with what's his name? Paul Vanderklay. Where are you? This laptop or this computer is not working for me today. There he is. All right, Paul, where are you? This is, yes, it was a discussion with Rick Walker. Rick Walker book launch live stream.
I want to watch that interview. So yeah, but next
I
week.
found it remarkably underwhelming.
Yeah.
Not,
Well,
and
then
I
let's
usually
go.
like Paul's discussions, but I just could not. It just felt.
So, all right. So
Felt,
that.
it felt a little tinny to me.
All right. So what about From Power on High? Do you like, or what are you chewing on? What are you musing?
I really want to play with this John 19 thing. You have nothing. You have no power unless you get it from on high.
Right.
What is Jesus talking about? And then I think, combine it with like Ephesians 6:12 reference. That's interesting. There are other references. But then, how far do we, I guess I keep playing with the same themes. How far do you want to take it?
Yeah, you always. I see. We are obliged, I think, to always take it all the way, and it'd have
But
to
we
go
don't. But we don't, Ron.
No, we don't.
We don't. We're cowards.
What?
We go so far, and then we go, Then we use our common sense. We leverage our position.
All right.
Oh, we got Rick in the house. Rick has showed up for some woo.
Buckle up, kids.
God gives power, agency, and freedom to everyone. It's called choice. The power is in your hands. There's no original sin, no demons, no. He doesn't. I'm triggering him. Sorry, Rick. There's no original sin, no demons, no devil. Only choice in a world designed by God to stimulate us. Okay.
No.
It's a perspective. That seems fatalistic, though, to me. It's a kind of inverted fatalism.
It'll get you in trouble. Here's the thing. Well, see, here's the thing. This is where I will take a hard stand. Is if there's no good and evil, Jesus is a waste of time. And I guess let's say there is good and evil. If there's no redemption of sin, or is Mark on? I mean, the more I work on this, I'm like, if I have to give up the position of good and evil and an atonement, I don't know if that's, what do you call that? Substitutional penal atonement, or if it's something else, then why bother with Jesus? Why didn't he just give the Holy Spirit?
You do have a problem trying to justify this confrontation. There's no purpose to it.
Me?
No, I'm saying if the support Rick's contention, there's no point to Jesus. There's no point to this whole scene in the thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to believe the literal. I'm not saying it's a representation of something. And there's no point. What's the point?
But only
the crown of thorns and the resurrection.
Now the no fall thing. Now that I would, dude. I even before I was with Jesus, I'm like, nah, dude, this world's jacked up. Like, even is there evil? Yeah, there's. Nah, on that one, I would have to say that's interesting.
Here's my thing, bitches. Yeah. I said I'm going to be mean today. This is me, mean Mark, and it's all pretend, so don't worry about it. Don't take it too seriously. There's a lot of evil happening around right now. but we can. You have a choice. You go by a homeless person. You have a choice to help and do what James' epistle says you should do as a Christian. And if it's completely in your power to do it, you will do it, and you will always do it. What James suggests you do.
Mm-hmm.
But how often do you have excess and you do not share it with those who do not have excess, who have lack, who have need? I'll personally put, maybe the rest of you are all very, very, very holy. I personally do the math in my head. How much of my excess am I willing to share with this person in need? I have a little extra time. How much time am I willing to give? Well, poor me. I still, I had a bad night's sleep. I really need to go. I need to get home. I can't spend an unpredicted 2 hours with this person or that person.
Right.
I have $50 in my wallet. Do the math. I
got
might give them 10.
Can I push back on that a little bit? And if you're gonna be mean, Mark. Oh, there's Mark Jackson. Go ahead.
Hey, bring the mean. Bring the mean.
All right. Hey, Mark, we're doing.
I'm personally I'm very stingy.
All right. So
with my generosity.
No, I'm gonna take this to the next level. Woo, Max Rex. Okay, so forget your $50. Let's say you're Jesus, and there's leprosy going on. Mm-hmm. And you heal only one Samaritan. Is that stingy? Or actually, and help me out, because who was it when I think I'm going to the scriptures. I want to say it's when Jesus was proving a point, and I'm not proving mine quite well, but I'll just say when he healed leprosy, he didn't heal all lepers. So what's up with that? Is that stingy?
And we don't know what the ratios were.
Well, but
he stayed local. He did walk to the degree to which you could say he harbored his resources. It would have been when he went off into the wilderness or to lonely places by himself, which it's said that he did often.
So I guess and obviously I'm not going to accuse him of anything. I would say he's more the example. So just because we're not sitting butt naked in the street giving everything away doesn't mean we're stingy. I do understand where you're coming from, but is there a balance? Where does grace come in?
Well, that's just, I mean, that's the only thing that kind of pulls our nuts out of the fire. Mark Jackson. It's late where you are.
Good evening.
We're going to watch you sleep? Here, we'll put you on solo.
I'm not staying.
Watch Mark sleep. It sounds like you've had a bad day. It sounds like you've had a bad couple days. We're here to distract you. We're here to distract you.
I've had a couple of very predictable days, and it's going to carry on all summer. So,
yeah,
such is life. I just, I wanted to say something, but what Ron said was so interesting. Why didn't he just eradicate leprosy?
Right.
He could have. I don't know the answer to that. That's a new question to me. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm sure people have had this discussion, some deep philosophers, and they'll come up with arguments here or there. And you guys can carry on with that. I'm going to bed very soon. But I just wanted to say a little thing about choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I relate it to attention. We have attention. we attend to things, we focus on things, things attract our attention. And we don't have a choice of attention, it's always there. What we have a choice is where to place our attention. And so, do we place our attention at what is lowest or what is highest? Or another way to say it is, damn it, it's left my mind. Sorry, I'm tired.
Yeah.
We don't get a choice to ignore everything or see everything. We have this attention which focuses us, it aims us. But we do get to choose what focuses us and what aims us. And I think that's the only real choice. Or to put it another way, we are servants, and the only choice we have, excuse me, is to choose our master. We get to choose our master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make
I can
sense?
agree with. That I can agree with. At a kind of zoom out level, you get to choose. You get to choose who you serve. Got to serve somebody, Dylan said.
Yes.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That
So
may
I'm gonna
be
drop off
where
now.
we're left. Yeah. That could be a
Happy
1 or a
that
0. Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's very good, Mark.
Okay, night, folks.
Good night. Have a good night.
Good night.
We'll keep you in prayer and your whole family. We really
Love you
won't
guys.
forget.
Yeah.
All right. Love you too.
And
Take care. Stay in
probably most
touch.
people listening.
Go
Cheers.
to bed. Go to
All
bed.
right, yes. Get some sleep.
Get some sleep.
Seriously.
What did Afro say?
Which one you want? This one?
What's his name here?
Anselman was Jesus is healing something externally intruding or guiding hand, bringing the man's body back into form it knew to take.
Wait a second. No.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong? What do you think he's saying first?
My thinky sayer says the body is not being guided. Well, there's a guiding hand that would be Jesus back into a form it knew to take.
I think he's talking about by nature. There's a natural, healthy form, and then there's a unnatural, unhealthy form, which you might say, if you see natural versus unnatural as as satanic versus heavenly.
I would actually go no, because actually not even that, because Jesus cursed the tree. It took the form that Jesus said. If Jesus had cursed the man, because actually Paul said the guy was going to be blind for a season. I think he was a sorcerer, Simon the sorcerer. And then Paul said, for a season you will be blind. So
Smith history says atrophy is natural to a certain extent. Yeah, well, death is natural.
Well, no, it's not. It's not. Well, it's natural now, but it shouldn't have been.
I'm just saying the cycle of birth and death. It's even Paul says if you this has to die so that the spirit can live.
Well,
the flesh must die so the spirit can resurrect and live.
I guess I'm just teasing about the fall. I'm going back.
1 Corinthians 15. I know this is the conundrum we're in.
Love means whatever you want. No, it doesn't.
I think William and Rick are having.
I'm sorry. A spat. A tiff. It's angry. It's an angry woo day. It's full contact. All right, but no.
Bring your woo bitches.
You can be angry, but don't be mean.
That's it. Be angry, but sin not.
Oh.
So
where are we at?
Here's the thing: is okay. Political power.
Ooh.
Go back to Paul's streams. Paul's been dealing with this a lot.
Okay.
Video.
Video.
Let's see. Liberalism. This is a couple of his titles. The latest one was Liberalism Can't Save the World, but it sometimes holds back some something. Let's see. I got cut off. Some petty tyrants. Okay, that's the latest one. Christian civilization created liberalism as a way to love their neighbors and enemies. That's another title. Then here's another one on liberalism. Is the liberal mission to Christianize same-sex sexuality and marriage failing? Then there was the whole Peter Thiel thing, going back let's see, almost 10 days, 11 days. Political power. I mean, there's all forms of power. Now, this again, back to the thumbnail. I'm using this as an illustration to kind of conversation start here.
So,
Was this a political struggle?
no, it was spiritual.
Who thought it was who? Well, who thought what? Depends on who's who, right?
Well, I
From
mean,
Pilate's point of view,
correct.
if it was spiritual, he'd be really shook.
I think he got shook at the end when his wife was at the very end. I think he started to understand it was spiritual.
Yeah.
But
for him, when he's making this decision, is he making a political decision from his point of view? Is
oh
he making
yeah,
a political
at the
decision?
beginning, oh totally. It was just like he was just doing his job. There was nothing spiritual about it. He was just like, all right, who's this guy? Is this gonna bother me? How do I just keep this rabble in order? But at the end, I think it was his wife said, "Don't," because you want to talk about from power from on high. His wife goes, "I've had a dream that troubled me. Don't mess with this righteous man." You know, I'm obviously botching it, but
That's in Luke, isn't it? Or is that John too?
one
I
of the
can't
Gospels.
remember.
I'm not
Let me
sure.
look. One of the Gospels. Yes, I
Well,
figured that much out, Ron. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Professor Ron. You want to go to the PVC school? Oh my gosh, the theology. Oh, that's so bad.
Oh, let's Google it. Let's see, where's it? Let's see where it's at. Matthew 27. Can you hear me? Did I mute myself too much?
Oh no,
Okay.
you're fine.
While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream
Yeah.
because of him."
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
That's cool, man. I like that.
Yeah. That's a big moment right there. Because you like, for her to speak up and be in the Gospels, from what I understand, women, you just, back in the day, unless you were Mary, or Martha, or, it's, you were just, you weren't heard, period. You didn't talk. You didn't do anything. But this lady, Pilate's wife, said to her husband, who is top dog, better not do that. It'll cause you trouble. So I think for some reason that smells to me of power from on high.
Mm-hmm.
When you're given a dream, Joseph was given a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of town, go to Egypt. Joseph was given both Josephs. And then power on high. Give me an example of good power on high. Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
the apostles.
On a good day.
Yeah, on a good day. Yeah. So, I mean, because from power on high, if you look at it, it's like reaping and sowing. If you look at it from a sin perspective, it's negative. But if you look at it from a grace and mercy perspective, what kind of cool might that look like? And maybe, I'll be honest, I think you have unlimited power from on high as you align yourself with the will of God. Hence miracles, signs and wonders, new hearts, joy unspeakable.
Why are we talking though so much about big shots in the
Because
corner? Why are we paying attention to these people?
what do
If
you
the
mean?
power is with Jesus, why are we talking about these people? The
Who's,
Teals and the what's his name? Why can't I ever remember his name? Mark Walker, Rick Walker, Peter Thiel. Why do we pay attention to these people?
do they have insight? Do they have an ability
They
to?
don't talk about. They don't sound like they have. They aren't talking about what you're talking about.
Well, I don't even know them. I'm just
saying. Are you? Maybe you've not been paying attention to Paul's live streams lately.
not really. Not to me. They've kind of been washing over me, and then it's
So
like the West. What's that?
Go ahead. No, keep
It seems
talking.
like, all right, the West is falling. Modernity's coming to an end. It's like the Clash, London falling, London calling.
Right.
You know, yeah, okay, fine. You know, it's something's winding down. Okay, give me some solutions. What I've got so far only is walk in love, mercy, and grace for me. And that's so these other ones, and I don't understand. I don't understand.
So are we? So are we just?
Because, well,
I
everything.
just want to get. I want to be mean. Go ahead. Mean
Well,
Mark.
I'll finish it out.
I'm gonna put
job
me
is-
Mark away.
No.
Mark
No.
in the box for a
I
minute.
like
Keep
me,
talking.
Mark, because
Keep
it's like a dog playing with a rope. It's nothing personal. My job is to pray and make things happen. And on my best day, on my worst day, I'm an idiot, but I'm repentant trying. But on a good day, I intercede for friends, family, enemy, nation, world. My function, as best I can understand it, is if I see a problem, all I got is prayer. But if I have the right heart at the right moment, maybe something cool can happen so that the ship doesn't sink. The kids get found. Someone gets healed. And God gets the credit. Cool. Good day. Because I can't sleep at night not trying, and I can't sleep at night knowing I have an ability that I don't use. And this is very subjective. I can't show you or prove anything. And if I'm never known and it's never proven, great, don't care. But as long as when I get before God, he goes, all right, kid, not bad. So to answer your question about Paul, no. I see problems, but I don't see a lot of answers. And I'm not saying Paul doesn't pray or doesn't have some answers. Maybe I just don't understand them. But I just see a definition of problems happening. And I'm like, fine, you've defined
I'd
the
love
problem.
if Paul get word to Paul Vanderklay and have him come on and he can tell us what itch he's trying to scratch with this series on culture and liberalism and power. Because we're all trying to scratch some itch. What's his itch? And I'd like to hear him defend himself. And I'd be very interested in knowing more from a meta perspective, perhaps.
What I would like to know, okay, part of the reason I'm here in the TLC is it reminds me of radar in World War II. You're able to see over the horizon line or in a great distance and know what's coming so that you can prepare for it properly. Okay, so what's coming? Help me understand. Help me to to be in the right frame of mind and heart, so that when it does happen, so that when I see people losing their minds, I do understand why, and maybe I can speak into that condition of weakness they're having to give them faith, hope, and love, and a reasonable encouragement. That's at least that's the way I'm wired, made. And I know most people around here are brilliant. That's cool.
Are we ready to start telling some of these hot shots to stop wasting our time?
No, that's
I mean,
not them.
aren't they doing that? Aren't they they're just talking, they're taking up space, and maybe we should start telling them to stop taking up our space? Or maybe we just tell ourselves to stop letting them take up space?
I think if it doesn't bring you value in some way, then it's a waste of time. But if there's a value to you in some way, then it's not a waste. I can't determine what's going to be valuable for you, but I'll give an example. Luke Thompson, I actually talked to Luke the other day. It was nice seeing him. I don't understand most of what he's saying. I mean, it's just, it's like pull a string on Luke and he's, but he's good at it. And there's something of value to him and others as they dialogue about stuff. Now, the funny thing is, when I was listening to Luke, this is several months ago, there was a spiritual problem that I had been walking through for quite a while. And when I was listening to Luke, nothing he said made sense to me. And there was a moment in my mind, just thoughts going, and I was frustrated. I said, and the thoughts were, well, that's not his fault, that's mine. And in a heartbeat, in one moment, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a perfect way to think of these. How am I doing spiritually? How can I apply that? What am I getting involved with incorrectly? And to be honest, I realized there were some things spiritually I was improperly getting involved with. And the moment I said, these negative spiritual interactions I'm having are not demons. Well, I mean, they were demons, but I realized I was calling them. I realized I was drawing them. And the moment I disengaged from the improper, I don't want to say conflicts, but interactions that I wasn't called into, and I realized I was the problem, they went away. And I owe that to listening to Luke. Nothing he said is what mattered, but it was the nature of the interaction with him and the friendship and the frustration, and I worked out some junk. So in these conversations, who's to say other people aren't doing the same thing, if not more so? Carlotto, I thought Matt Carlotto. I hope I'm saying his name.
Carlotto,
yeah, that's right.
Matthew.
I know for a fact he's back in faith because he listened to Vervaeke. And I'm like, I don't know what Vervaeke's saying a lot of time, but Parlato does. And it helped him process a lot of what was going on in his mind and heart. And I'm like, and I listened to his testimony, and it was really cool. It was very intellectual, the way but I think God was there talking to him. So these people you said, so that's my defense of them. I don't know what they're saying for the most part. I don't understand what's going on, but I think it's absolutely valuable. That was a long rant.
That's okay. Let's see. First, let me show you this. We'll talk about Luke. Before the stream even started, just the thumbnail and the title triggered these chat comments from Luke Thompson. Mere lonely power has no power to create, but love is the power of power. George MacDonald. Then he said, also, those who wield tools of mere power want your attention. Then he said, if you think politics, voting, protesting is all that matters, maybe it doesn't matter one on whose behalf, I think, Maybe it doesn't matter on whose behalf one votes protest as long as you do. It's funny. It's just funny what thumbnails and titles trigger in people. Like you said, I was like, I mean, I think I again, it's just the chat is really hard to.
Yeah, it's lively today.
It's hard to figure out what's being said, but that was even before the live stream started. He posted that hours before we went live.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just, and then Afriel says right after that, like this was before the live stream started, he requested a restream, co-stream of Foxman's Pale Boy premiere at 45 minutes into the stream.
Oh, I didn't understand that. Okay.
And I can't, the problem is I can't figure out, it's still premiering. I guess it's still going on. And he's only, so I don't know. We always do this House of Woo at about 1:30 at Pacific. So I'm sorry if we're overlapping with each other.
4:30.
But it's kind of our habit. It's the only time we have to do it. So, so that's that. But if you want to go see President Foxman's live stream, let me copy and paste it in the chat.
Is he doing his game? Is he doing? He plays
it's something else. It looks like a different kind of video.
Huh.
So that's that.
I could.
No, that's all right. It's all done. I mean, I just posted a link. So if you want to go watch President Foxman, or you can catch up. It's a premiere, so it's not like it's live. You can catch it. You can go back and watch it from the start. But there's the link.
So what do you think, Mark? Because I gave you my long rant about why I think you should, or that the corner stuff is good. Because you're talking about attention, I think. And we also like, why should we bother? What are your thoughts? If you have any.
I think we want to be distracted. And we do all of this intellectual stuff to distract us from real work. Gets done, but it gets done circumspectly. It happens or inadvertently. It doesn't. It's what we think we're working on half the time isn't what we're really working on. And so we do stuff. We engage with material like this to distract us. I mean, if I'm believing Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. I'm really believing Jesus's mindset.
Yeah.
I would say he says, he's always frustrated with the disciples. With they're constantly looking at the wrong thing, paying attention to the wrong, trying to achieve the wrong ends, confused about who's right, who's wrong. And in fact, they're even following him for the wrong reasons. Most of the time. And then every once in a while, somebody says something brilliant.
Right.
Peter says, Peter catches it, and then Jesus says, "Oh, well, upon you, I will build my church."
Right.
And the next minute, Peter gets it wrong, and he says, "Behind me, Satan."
Yeah, well, but then at the end, he gets an attaboy, like, Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love, so he wins 2, lost 1.
I don't know what to do with stuff. I mean, I think you have to be willing to be mystical. You have to be willing to buy into the mystical or into the woo, as we say, to enough of a degree that you can buy into the resurrection. If you can't buy into the resurrection, Like, I mean, some of Rick's stuff, what he was expressing further up in
Yeah.
the chat. I'm trying to find his first long rant.
Right.
I feel like it's like, I mean, I'm not talking soteriology. I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying that for me, I don't see much of a point. Here it is. God gives power, agency, and freedom to everyone. It's called choice. The power is in your hands. There is no original sin, no demons, no devil, only choice in a world designed by God to stimulate us.
See,
It's philosophically. I mean, it'd be fun to have Nathan with us because he's very good at
yeah.
analyzing sentences. I just feel like for me there was a component missing.
I mean,
You know,
I don't want to. That's
something really, and he's not here to defend himself, so we're not here to pick on Rick.
No,
I'm just saying on that point of view, I have limitations.
This is not against Rick at all. No, just the opposite. That has.
We got Rod. Hop in, Rod. Rod's a non-mystic. Rod is willing, could steel man the a more secular point of view for us.
Who? What?
Wasn't Jesus predicting the end of the world in the lifetime of his followers? Wouldn't that help explain why he wouldn't want to focus on earthly concerns? That's only an interpretation. I think you have to. I think guys like Bart Ehrman have made hay on that. That's a modern scholarship has put that as a point of big emphasis, that Jesus was eschatologically driven by events within his time. Some of his prophecies are clearly talking about the temple and the destruction of the temple. And his predictions about the destruction of the temple are so spot on that modern scholars say he couldn't have possibly said it. So that his prophetic utterances on the destruction of the temple were actually interpolations by the writers of the Gospels or editors thereof the Gospels well after 70 AD. So, for example, Mark wasn't written and couldn't have been written before 70 AD is the argument, because Jesus's predictions on the temple are too good. Right. His predictions were right on, and it wouldn't have taken a genius to look at the political situation of Judea and Galilee in the first centuries the first decades of that first century AD, and say the Jews are going to be in trouble if they keep doing this. They keep acting the way they do. This whole system is going to come down. So I don't think Jesus is necessarily. But his predictions are so intimidating to the secular mind that modernist scholars, and I say modernist or modernistic scholars, can't hack it. They can't grok it. They got to go, no. This is all put upon. These are words put in Jesus's mouth. So I would say that it's just more. You could just as easily say he was right. He predicted correctly, either naturally or supernaturally, and those were some of his eschatological utterances were actually about the destruction of the second temple period and the opening up of a new era, which would be the age of the church. More is being said in the chat, and I'm not paying attention. What do you think, Ron?
Oh, it's just humming. They're having a good time. It's not quite following it, but it's quite social.
Channeling Barterman. I love you, Rod. I really respect you. I think you have brilliant insights. So if you want to hop on, please do. The link is pinned in the chats, as they say on YouTube.
So what does power on high mean for us? I I like thinking about that because that means, flip it to the good.
Okay,
What does
here's
that
another
mean?
perspective. Let me throw this out at you. Because, okay, in my state, we're taking a lot of shit from the Trump administration right now. A
Okay.
lot of unconstitutional stuff, a lot of bad stuff is happening within state boundaries. If we resisted as a state, we
Yeah.
could raise a lot of hell. If
Okay.
the governor made certain choices, as I pointed out in my discussion with Nathan, we could cause the United States of America a great deal of pain
Okay.
and do so lawfully. I'm not talking about rebellion or
No, I got you. I'm
stars
listening.
and bars and all that nonsense. I'm talking about
Just
within
legal.
the Supreme Court has said, the Supreme Court said the executive branch is obliged to obey the law.
Okay.
Only we can enforce the law against the executive branch under certain circumstances. Okay. Well, that means 10th Amendment, and the 10th Amendment goes into effect. Any powers not given to the federal government revert to the states or are retained by the states.
Right.
So Gavin Newsom, with the authority, with the state legislature, could begin to enforce the law and the Constitution within state boundaries. Well, it's going to if they did that, it would be a whole lot of ruckus. It would be difficult for a lot of people.
Okay.
How
does that relate to from power on high?
Well, you make this. People talk about choices. Real power. That's real power. Real power is the power to make your life difficult, or to make, or real power is to, you can. Real power is the ability to make one side suffer and another side cheer.
Oh, wait a second. If I may.
In the political realm, don't you know, Pilate says, I have power to free you, to give you pleasure, or to crucify you, to give you the ultimate in pain. Donald Trump says, don't you know I have power to deport you, or power to keep you in the country? I have power to raise tariffs, to raise your prices, to increase your taxes, and I have power to not. These are all players playing the very worldly game of Pilate. Don't you know I have power to ruin your life or to make you very, very comfortable?
Okay.
Now, Luke Thompson would say that's all demonic. I'm kind of inclined to agree to a certain extent. On the other hand, if we don't engage, then we just hand it all over to the demons.
Oh, but wait a second. Wait a second. But so Jesus.
I'm triggering the corner.
No, well, no. Wait. This is fun. I'm not, because I'm.
Yes.
I'm throwing. Okay,
I want to have fun.
Well, so let me hit the ping pong back. Yes. But Jesus kept silent. And then he says,
did not. No,
you're right. You're right.
Reference we're talking about.
My point is this: he did say, but he didn't engage. He talked a little bit, but he didn't engage in power at all. In fact. Okay, go ahead. What do you think?
No. Right, what you're talking about. See, there was a funny thing when I was making the thumbnail. The original was Pilate doing this with the pointy finger and the stern look, right?
Yeah.
And Jesus's eyes were down.
Okay.
And I told the LLM, make Jesus look him in the eye.
Right. Okay. Like it.
And to me, that made all the difference. Because to me, I would be shocked if Jesus cowered.
No, he didn't. No, no, no. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. No, I like this picture. I think it sums up. I think it sums up the scene beautifully. I mean, this is actually, I think, a Peugeot quality image. You know, AI should be writing its name in the corner, but I really do like it. You're right. He was looking at Pontius Pilate in the eye without anger.
No. Jesus still had the point of view of Father, forgive them, for they know not what they
Yeah.
do. That's his ultimate judgment on the scene, which is
Right.
a really strange judgment, concerning they seem to know exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, because what Roderick said, so we're coming back to, you said, going back to the States and what to do. So if you, I guess, almost surrender to the evil, not because you're surrendering, but you don't respond to it in kind. Okay, because you said Luke would say the governmental authority is somewhat demonic, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but from what I remember, you said. So let's say it was because
I've heard Luke say something along those lines. That's
well,
why.
aside from Luke, I could say the wisdom
But
of this world is demonic, sensuous. Okay, and that's accurate. So the way to act in God's government would be to be quiet and humble, even to let yourself die, but because you'd actually overcome, because the government of the kingdom of heaven is here now, but different from this world's government because it is eternal. So as you are obedient to the heavenly authority, if you suffer an improper consequence, you are it's flopped. It's reversed eventually. If you get crucified, not only do you come back to life, but you come back to life forever. And you get to be a payment. Substitution. You guys, whatever, it's the swap out. Sorry, substitution. I can't say it. I stumble. So anyhow, but I like, so they're getting back to the States. So if California wanted, and I'm joking, and I'm not trying to say this is right.
Push back. We can just say push back.
Okay.
Against the unlawful conduct by the federal government.
All right. So let's say they don't. Is there, for the right reasons? I get, and also because Jesus did it not because he was a coward, submitted himself, but because he didn't want to use his power improperly. So I wonder, if California were to do it right, it would have to do it with a proper motive and intention to what would look like, to me, be a failure or a loss. Or, not just to me, but to a Roman. You're like, well, you lost. But how would you actually win in the long run? Or could you?
Okay, here's a question for y'all and you guys. Were the founding fathers men of faith?
Theoretically, I don't know.
What's the difference between standing up for your rights as a member state of the United States or as a colony of the British Union, the Crown, the United Kingdom? What's the difference? Help me out, folks.
Well, you asked me if they were men of faith.
And yes, and were they men of faith? When they did what they did, were they acting in faith? Or were they?
I don't know. I don't have a record of their church attend. I really don't know on that one.
Right. They had faith in something. I've said, is Vladimir Zelensky a man of faith? Takes guts. to do what he did and is doing.
I was looking at a comment. Is Martin?
No, they weren't all Freemasons. Some of them were explicitly not.
Mark S. We summon you, Mark S.
Okay,
Come
Mark,
forth.
it's been called up on the stage.
Oh, I didn't
Join
like
us.
that. Come forth. No. Hey, dude, hop on.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bart Ehrman is helpful in a lot of ways. I've enjoyed a lot of Bart Ehrman stuff.
What can you?
It
fill me
becomes
in on?
one trick pony after a while, though. Is the problem.
I'm looking at. There's some new names in here I haven't seen before. Oh, politics. Where? Okay, so where's the wound politics? Okay. Oh boy, this is going to be okay, Mark. I'm gonna put some gasoline on a fire here.
You
Oh,
called him, and he is shown
that's
up.
awesome. He saved this.
Okay, finish your thought, Ron, and then we'll
No,
let Mark.
I'd rather hear Mark S. Mine was
No,
just.
you had something you wanted to say, though. I want to make sure we hear it.
All right, then Israel, the Middle East. You want your power from on high. You want the mixture of spiritual. Are we watching paint dry? Yes. Paul, come on, save
the stream. Defend yourself. We've performed a critical analysis of your stream lately.
Listen, come on here and help explain. Help me understand.
But you're gonna have to take your turn. So Ron, finish your thought, and then Marcus, you're next.
So it was like the Middle East. You want power from on high, Israel, Palestine, and just Israel in the Middle East. You want. There's a firefight. There's a. Do I think Israel has the right to exist? Yes. Do they walk on water and are they perfect? No. But like this thing that's going on in what's going on, this reminds me of the 6-Day War 50 years ago, where I thought Israel was going to end, and it didn't. And now here we are. Israel went bat crap crazy, and something evil happened. So, for now on, for the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years, there's going to be a kerfuffle about did Israel try to commit a genocide? And then there's going to be, does Israel, when it declared war, what are the rules that change? Like, this isn't a skirmish, this is a war. Don't know the difference. But you want to talk about power on high? All right. How does it?
Israel is not a Christian state.
No, it's not.
So I'm not going to hold them to the standard of Jesus. Let's just hop over to Marcus real quick. Mark, you hopped on.
Oh, what's up? Well, yeah, I was called.
You were.
So
I
heeded the call.
He heeded the call. Thank you, Mark.
So
I was watching paint dry too. Now I am paint drying.
Now you're paint drying.
We are paint drying.
Well, what do you want us to do? What would make everybody happy?
Well, when
we're here to please.
Earlier when I've been multitasking through most of this, and so earlier when you were talking about why are we, these big names are wasting our time. Were you talking about in the corner or just on the internet in general?
Like the big names that the corner gives attention to. So it's it's not just the big names in the corner, but big names that the flotilla pays attention to. Ross Douthat, Peter Thiel, Rick Walker, Rick Walker is a minor player comparison, but he got a whole interview with PVK, which and part of it is because that power was a big subject on that discussion. So that's why I'm talking about power. To me, it struck me as a really worldly a very worldly view of power, not power as Jesus described it in John chapter 19. And I say, if there's nothing to what Jesus said, if you believe power is time, energy, attention,
Oh, wait a second.
then what Jesus had to say is, you wouldn't have anything if you didn't get it from my Father on high. You only have any of this because God gave it to you, schmuck. Well, then why are we paying attention to the schmucks? And why don't we pay more attention to figure out what Jesus meant and how we get in line with that? So I don't want to be in Pilate's situation. I don't want to find myself giving the execution order to.
Oh man.
Order 66.
That's a very dark place to find oneself.
Yeah, I mean, he was just doing his job.
But that ain't an excuse. Is that an excuse? It wasn't
Well,
an excuse in the Nuremberg trials, even
I
at
got
the
a
human
question.
level.
All right, so
And we were just following orders.
this is
Light a
Where-
match on that village in Vietnam. GI, I'm just following orders.
so in this subject of power from on high, right? Where's the woo? I think because when Paul made the comment, "Are we watching paint dry?" I'm like, okay, yeah, we're watching paint dry. But so what we are about here, at least for this moment, is the woo, the spiritual interaction. So where
we are the weirdest section. Are we the weirdest boat on the
but we're not fulfilling our
flotilla?
obligation right now. We're just because, and I realize I don't have to feel bad for pushing it. So where is the woo in that statement in the Bible, the Old Testament and New? Power. Oh, so you have Nebuchadnezzar, who had dreams from God. Yeah, he was, I think, used by God too. Who else did you have in the Old Testament that from power from on high? Nebuchadnezzar comes to mind the easiest. Just because he was used of God and he was also bat crap crazy. Well, wasn't he made mad for 4 years? He had the mind of a beast.
He ate grass.
Yeah, and he grew feathers and had
long fingernails.
yeah, long fingernails. But I thought it also said, well, his hair grew out.
Yeah, his hair grew out.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go there. So power from on high. You've got Nebuchadnezzar. Now we're getting somewhere. Who else did we have? You had David, power from on high. You had Saul, power from on high. Politically, then you had the prophets. Okay, but I'll stick with the political folks. David, Saul.
But don't you think that all the powers were put there from on high?
Well, aren't there demonic powers?
So okay, but you're talking about power. Okay, we're talking about power from a very singular point of view. What about democratic power? Let me play this. This is an example of democratic power from the movie Matewan. I played this recently and got away with it, so I'm going to play it again. So it's a short clip, about 3 minutes long.
I remember this.
This is town property. Who are you? I'm the mayor. Well, pleased to meet you. My name is Bill Hickey.
This is Tom Griggs. We're carrying out an eviction for Stone Mountain.
You can do what you want up at the coal camp, but this is town property.
Stone Mountain holds the deeds on these houses, Cabell.
You need a writ for eviction.
You the law around here? Oh, good. And you can help us. These people are trespassing on company property. They all signed a contract that they wouldn't join any union.
You Baldwin Felts agency?
That's right.
Presently employed by the Stone Mountain Coal Company.
This is from Mr. Turley here. And this is from our boss, Mr. Thomas Phelps.
I've met Mr. Felts.
Well, good. We won't have any problem.
I wouldn't pee on him if his heart was on fire. Neither of these will do for a writ. You'll have to see a judge in Charleston.
What if we ain't got time to go to Charleston?
You better find some. Now, I can't do nothing about what you pull outside town limits, but you bother these people under my jurisdiction, I'll put you under arrest.
Yeah? You and whose army?
All you men own a gun, go home and get it. Your deputies as of now. Rest of you people stick close. We'll need witnesses. I'm giving you 10 minutes. Get those people's belongings back in the house.
If the rest of the boys was here, you wouldn't be so cocky.
If the rest of the boys was here, I'd give you 5 minutes. Now move it.
You can't win, you know. This is gonna happen with you, without you. You can't stop it. All right, boys, let's put it back in. This ain't our day.
This ain't our day. That's an example of democratic power. Is that on high? You guys talked about David and Nebuchadnezzar and Cyrus. Power. It's all power, but is it on high?
Well, isn't that why Peter Thiel was being interviewed? Peter Thiel is like, he runs. I didn't watch any of that interview. I saw there was something going on, but doesn't he run Palantir? The
Yeah, it's one of his things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
munitions company. Like I heard they're have this AI weaponry where it like uses an algorithm to like figure out where there's the most enemies, and then it just strikes on its own. So like there's not even people that are directly responsible. It's just like an algorithm that decides where there'd be the most enemies.
Chris Howard wants to know. Says I don't understand the question. Am I not posing my question or my queer, whatever you want to call it, setting up the discussion appropriately?
Isn't
What's
your question
the difference between
whether
legitimate and illegitimate power? William keeps talking about quoting or referencing the Apostle Paul says Caesar was.
Well, okay. So if Luke was here, I think he might say, "All right, only God's government would be the right power." And obviously, I'm putting words in Luke's mouth, but if he was my inspiration in my head for a second. He often goes to the kingdom of heaven, the eternal city. So anything that is similar to it would be good.
The early Christians did not resist Roman power. They ultimately converted it,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The United States did not convert British power. It overthrew it.
Yeah.
Yet Americans very much think of themselves as one nation under God.
When I think about that though, Rome being converted, there were always many Christians that did resist even that power, even after it became Christian. I mean,
Yeah,
like the Protestant Reformation didn't just start a few hundred years ago. It's like been going on the whole time.
it's true. There was a lot of back and forth. A lot of people, even saints, were persecuted by the church and then became saints after their death.
Ouch.
Who's the guy who got his tongue cut out and then he died shortly after? Basil?
I don't know.
Was he though? Help me out, you Orthodox bros. Tell me about the church father who got his tongue cut out for not being Orthodox enough, or offending somebody and then getting. I'm pretty sure it was Basil. I'll let the hive mind settle it. I'll look it up later. But no, it's this church. Church was pretty mean to itself.
Right. Oh wow, that's interesting, Rudy. Well, actually, Moses is an interesting. It wasn't so much the murder. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Moses, power from on high. But I was actually thinking when he was walking with God.
What aren't you getting, Chris? Hop in. Go ahead, Ron.
No, I mean he struck. Moses is a good example of how to navigate power from on high in a governmental way. I think that's interesting. If you really look, because he was given guidance by a Gentile, I think his father-in-law, about setting up the 70, was it like judges? Well, not judges, it's Moses was listening to all the people, and then I think it was Jethro was his name, said, you need to get help. And so that's a way governmental power learned from the outside world and operated, and then acting. I think Moses is a good example. When you have governmental power given from God, don't act in anger, because if you do, you can strike out against God and then not receive an inheritance. Still be saved, but not receive the fullness of what God had for you and had intended.
Well, the scene, by the way, I played for you from the movie Matewan. It's a very historically accurate film, but the people of this community were mostly churchgoers. They were churched people. In fact, they make a point. It's in the movie. By the way, you can watch the whole movie on YouTube right now for free. And you can't see it anywhere else. So if you want to see it, just type in Matewan, Matewan. Great movie by Searles. Last name is, well, no, not Searles. Matewan. Oh, who made it? Who's the name of the guy? John Sayles, not Searles. Sayles. John Sayles. Sayles. John Sayles. Matewan. You watch the whole movie for free on YouTube. Highly recommend it. But the people of the town who worked the coal miners, they were churchgoers. These were Christians. The guy that you see, the sheriff, the town sheriff, is Sid Hatfield. He's ultimately, this isn't in the movie, but historically, he's ultimately assassinated by the mine owners.
Is that the source for that feud? Hatfield and McCoy feud or something?
No, the Hatfield-McCoy feud precedes it, and he's a descendant of that family. But that's the country you're in. They're already fighting folk.
Where are they?
West Virginia.
I was just up in East Tennessee in coal country last week.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna go tour some coal mines and like some of the old, I forget what they call them, the houses that the people lived in. But there was a really bad storm, couldn't go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are
You're
you?
objecting to the stream. We don't understand the subject or my questions, or what's your beef? What's your beef, man?
Yeah.
Bring the beef.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? That's an old reference for you kids out there to look up.
Well, no, yeah. We hung on that every word for about a year and a half. Nobody ever looks back. I hope that lady got paid really well for that. Well, power is just, I was just saying in the comments that it's working out of someone's will. And so if they're given that authority and then they make decisions, I mean, if you want to say, why does God let them make bad decisions? I mean, then you're going all the way back to Adam and Eve, and why did God let Adam and Eve choose the wrong thing? But somehow it appears to be important that people are able to affect their will, at least to some degree. And so I'm not sure what the question is. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't think power is good or bad.
You think power is, the discussion
It's
of
the
power
hammer you
is
hit people
what
with,
it's in the description. It's not according to Jesus. This is the whole subject of, if you look the Bible references in the description.
Oh, I missed those Bible references in the description.
mean,
Was there homework? I didn't do the homework.
Well, I read them at the beginning. If you didn't get it, you could, if you started late, you weren't to class. If you came to class late, you would have missed it.
You have no authority over me at all unless it had been given to you from above. Okay, that's true. And you do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against cosmic powers over this present darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. Okay.
Now the rulers, against rulers and authorities, one could say why do we group them all as cosmic, right?
Oh crap!
Why are they necessarily all? Some are physical rulers. We wrestle against Caesar.
Well,
we wrestle against.
What's the question? I don't understand the question.
What are we wrestling? Jesus said.
You're pointing and you're saying, yeah, like this, yeah, like that, and I don't know what the like that is yet. I'm thick. I'm sorry. I'm not getting it.
What's the question? You say you have power to do X or Y.
Yeah.
And Jesus says, no, you don't.
Well, it's been given. It has been granted to you with authority. It's not inherent to you.
But
it's
and you
temporary.
Only have it in a second, and it can be taken
it's temporary.
away.
But it's given to you from outside. It's granted to you for now.
And the power that you wield against one can be turned against you by another.
Sure.
That's the reversal that the Matewan scene. You have a reversal. It's a great dramatic device for you screenwriters out there. Reversal of fortune, a reversal of expectations. The Baldwin Phelps guys think it's their day. They have the writs, they think, that will do. They have the paperwork. They have the men. They have the guns. And one guy stands up and says, show me your judicial order. Show me your proper writ. They can't generate it. They can't produce it. So, and then he says, and then they say, we'll stop. Well, whose army's going to make us stop? He turns around and says to the people of the village, you men with guns, go home and get them. You're deputized. Reversal of expectation.
I'm lost to know how that applies to the power thing.
It's all power. They had the power to throw those people out of their house. They lost the power the power was taken away from them by another power.
Another power. competing
Now Williams
powers.
says it's mob power. I don't know. It's mob power. That's not. That's democratic power. And in
Well,
the
both of them
United
are
States,
democratic
the
power.
final authority of the United States is the Constitution, the rule of law. It's not even a personal power. No individual has power under the ultimate power in the United States. The ultimate power resides in the Constitution of the law,
Okay.
which is something once separated from the individuals.
No, not completely. I mean, people are given offices and then they have power that comes with their office.
Right, but it's constrained.
Yeah, because there's other people. I mean, the whole conflict of power is part
But
of
is it constrained by people or it's constrained by the law?
the law has no power in itself unless the people do it.
The people have to have faith in the law. But Jesus is playing and he's elevating it still another level. He's saying there's a law above you. There's a ruler above you.
Right.
And if you're not smart, you get one-way trip to hell.
Okay.
So you have to, again, do you really, I don't want to be Pilate. I don't want to find myself in that position.
Okay, so what could Pilate have done that would have made a difference in his decision point? I mean, he didn't look for any outside help, and he really didn't acknowledge that his power came from somewhere else. So he's got a couple of flaws, right? And even his wife came to him and said, this is really a bad idea. You should find some way of not doing this because I've had this dream and this is going to be a really bad thing. And it's not clear to me if it was completely up to him. I think you mentioned there were pressures on him to move forward with it in a certain direction. And he didn't want to swim upstream against the political pressure. So it wasn't, his power was not pure, I guess is what I'm saying. Not only did it come from someplace else, but it was faulty in understanding and poor in execution.
See, everyone's complaining there's not enough woo tonight or today. And to me, it's like, this is all woo. If you think it's all, see, Jesus is talking nonsense if you think there's no woo here. If it's just power and leverage and blood.
To woo it up a little bit, I like what Richard Beck said. He was almost like materialistic woo. He said that, when it's talking about principalities and powers, like you don't even have to think about demons, like these systems that are being set in place and constantly supported and upgraded to just further like suck everybody's energy and time and money out of them. And it's like this self-perpetuating system to where, and I think there's something to that. I mean, of course, I believe in demons, literally, and I think like demons just sit there on a banker's shoulder and like, yeah, hit enter on this program that somebody sent you, and it's going to mess everything up. But hey, the world's, if it wasn't you, it'd be somebody else. Even though everybody's going to have to pay more for everything once you hit enter on this link, so just do it and you'll be rich and you deserve it. And so the banker does it, and then it sets in systems, and the demon can go do something else because now the system is just set in place. It's like a demonic system, and no demons even have to do anything. I just thought of that right now, so it's true.
Absolutely, divinely inspired, God breathed.
Yeah, just trust me.
Mark, I see why you're raising this question, but it's an elusive concept. It's one of many great examples where Jesus confounded every question.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like it's impossible. I mean, I guess if you're just a small Orthodox Christian, we all believe that God's in control, and so it's like, how is that?
I want to ask the question again. I asked Ron earlier. Were the founding fathers men of faith or not? And you could just flip it around. If they look, because we can take what the founding fathers did and put it into that little scene from Meituan. the people of the village, when they run off and go get their guns, and they follow they get deputized, they decide they're going to take action. That's very similar to what the founding fathers did on a much larger scale. So,
Yeah.
When they take action, when you take action against an evil or an abuse of power,
Ho, time out. You're calling the one guy
I'm calling
an
it,
evil
absolutely,
guy?
100% evil. 100% evil. I have no
Not
problem.
in that clip he wasn't. I don't know the rest of the movie.
The Baldwin Phelps guys were this is what they're doing there. They don't have the authority. They're acting illegally.
So they didn't own that land or whatever?
They weren't operating within the law.
Okay.
They were breaking the law, and that's what the sheriff is doing. The sheriff is entering the scene and he's enforcing the law. You could not dispossess those people from the property they were renting without a writ, a proper judicial order. They could not produce a judicial order. Therefore, they were acting as thugs, to intimidate these people and make them homeless as a means as an abuse of power. He, under law, deputized the people, the citizens of the village, the men with guns, to support him as a law enforcement officer on the scene. That's basically the story in that scene.
So if I were there and he told me to go get my gun, I think it would be an act of faith on my part that I wasn't going to get in trouble, because I wouldn't know. It's like, well, the sheriff says do this, and this is what we should do. So if I go run off and get my gun and bring it back, I think
you're picking a side.
It is faith that I'm having faith in a certain person, and that's the sheriff.
Yeah, you're picking a side. You're choosing.
Well, maybe
your friends over these strangers. You're choosing to put your body at risk because these guys have guns. These are professional killers, certainly professional bullies. And so these, it takes faith. Now, if you're a founding father, again, you're going to break off. You're going to say, we're going to assert our rights as British citizens. We're not second-class colonials. We're citizens under the crown, and so we're asserting ourselves as British citizens when we declare independence. And because we've got this history of violations, you've not treated us fairly as British citizens. We're now going to assert ourselves and assert our right to break from British rule and become our own country out of necessity. That's the argument of the Declaration of Independence. That's an act. That too is an act of faith, but it's dangerous. But there's woo there. I don't know. I know you don't want it. It doesn't feel like woo. It doesn't warm the cockles of your heart, but it does. There's actual. Where there's faith, there's woo, would be my argument.
So it's the power. I think Afriel's, let me go back to what Afriel was saying. It was about defining power. And since Jesus said it, it's true. So power also refers back to, I think, was it Ephesians, where it goes, you wrestle not against flesh and blood, but powers, principalities. Let me see if I can find it. So are these, and I might be stretching it here, but when Jesus used the word power, was he referring to a spiritual power? And if so, would it be in relationship to that Bible verse?
I would say it's actually that what you're saying, though, if you want to know what power he's addressing, it's in the text. Don't you know I have power to free you or to crucify you? He's talking about physical power.
Yeah.
And Jesus says you would not have any physical power were it not given to you from on high. It's in the text.
Right. So
Now Jesus is unique. Jesus, I think Rod says Jesus doesn't fight back. He just tells him the way it is, but that's part of his plan. I mean, it's Jesus understood he had to die to accomplish his ends. But
so
we're not in that quite same situation, but where
So you're saying that there's Wu there. I guess that makes sense. I feel like it's a little bit more of the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego kind, and not so much of the Acts 2 kind, where it's like this is what we're supposed to do, and if we burn up, we burn up, and if we don't burn up, we don't burn up. But this is what we're going to do. So it's more of a forward thinking and not of tongues of fire, unexpected event kind of Wu.
Huh. I like that. That was interesting. Because was it also Nebuchadnezzar who put them?
Yep.
Because in the fire, it was Nebuchadnezzar again. So you, okay.
And Nebuchadnezzar wanted to be worshipped, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He tried real hard.
And before Jesus was called the Son of God, who in the empire was called the Son of God?
Was it Nebi?
Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh, Caesar. Sorry.
Caesar.
Yeah.
And the cult of the Caesars was the fastest growing religion of the time before Christianity overcame it.
Okay.
So when it was it was as much a political statement as it was a theological finding when they called Jesus Son of God, because they knew exactly what they were doing when they did it and what bear they were poking.
Yeah.
Because you're saying this is the real Son of God, and you didn't tell all the people in charge their Son of God is not the real Son of God, and these people did not take slights kindly.
They killed you.
Good to see you, Rod.
Bye, Rod. I can't really stay around either.
Yeah, I'm gonna pack it up. I gotta go. I got work to do too. So, last thoughts. It was an unusual House of Wu. We got a chance to pray for Mark Jackson's family.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's important. Anybody else have any thoughts or closing thoughts, prayer requests? Speak now or hold your peace until next week.
I'm coming up a blank. I don't know.
Well, Ron, what do you got? And then maybe Chris.
You know what? We can. Chris, are you still looking for a job?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a prayer request.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So, if there's anybody in the hive mind.
Otherwise, I'm going to use up all that Social Security money before these younger guys get there. So, yeah, they want me to they want to keep me employed.
Keep you feeding into the system. Oh, that's funny. It's okay for you to just retire, though. You could have fun, or you could contribute to the Social Security system in something less demanding if you wanted.
That's true. And I've done some. That's kind of the challenge. Is there's too many directions I could go, too many legitimate paths. So
too much freedom.
I know it. I am definitely not used to that.
That was a good discussion we had on your channel the other day, last week. That was fun. Okay, guys, let's
I hope
wrap
nobody
her up.
throws us in a furnace and tests our Wu that
Well,
way.
that's it, man. I don't want my faith tested. I like ice cream too much.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I like the easy life. It's this sort of thing of standing up for principle and doing the right thing. It's costly. It takes it out of a person. But then again, who's our Lord, right?
And what else were you going to do anyway? You know, just sit there and eat ice cream. Or you could do something heroic and brave or whatever. So I don't know. Stand in front of the house and say, bad guy, turn around, get out of here.
Afriel says, Anselman, he's agreeing with Anselman. Turning the other cheek only makes sense when it makes the other person reconsider their actions. Doesn't do any good when they were already planning to break both your legs.
I'm not sure about that.
It's Afriel. I think it's his sense of humor.
I don't think
so?
he's kidding.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think so,
Are you
yeah.
kidding, Ansel? Are you, Afriel? Are you pulling our leg about the broken legs, or are you speaking truth?
He might be talking. Anselman said about it's sinful not to care for your family and household. So if that's your role is to protect, then maybe turning the other cheek is not what you should be doing in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe you should be getting both your legs broken while they run out the back way.
Yep.
That's
Sometimes.
a whole other something. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
context.
You gotta. Well, it's all context driven, though, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it'd be nice to convert the Baldwin Phelps guys, right? It'd be nice to make them convert them to Jesus and be nice and generous
okay.
of heart.
So,
But if they don't convert, what do you do with them?
well, actually, okay. So here's to Afriel. Jesus would be my answer to that, because I do understand what you're saying. But Jesus did turn the other cheek, and he allowed them to crucify him. And they didn't murder him. He gave up the ghost, but it wasn't a happy day. So I do understand what you're saying, but I think that whole turning the other cheek.
Well, he gave up the ghost before they could break his legs.
Correct. Yeah.
Which would have been enough.
Yeah. So, but the whole turning the other cheek thing, it is I wonder. Okay, that's going to be context driven for sure, because there are times when Jesus, he was going to be cast off the edge of a cliff when he first preached, but he walked through the crowd. So that's a woo moment. And he did not turn the other cheek. You know, he didn't allow them to kill him, but it's only at the end when it seemed like it served a higher purpose, the right purpose, that he did. So that's just the one scripture that comes to my mind so far. But then, there are times to die. Yeah, great. Not that I'm thrilled with that one, but if I start putting it out there too cocky, it comes to you.
All right, let's close. I'm gonna play my new Pilot's. I've got a couple versions of this. It's Pilot's Pain.
Not me, but somebody pray us out.
I'm gonna go.
All right, see you later, Chris. Thanks for hopping
Chris.
on. Always welcome. Always welcome.
Pray us out, dude.
All right, Father God, we come to you now and we submit ourselves to your authority, and make us wise and generous of heart, and do not let us stray from your Holy Spirit's guiding. As you say, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the authority forever. Amen. I didn't quite get the Lord's Prayer right. Do you want to finish? Do you want something better?
No.
Do you want something more wooey?
No, it's not about the words sometimes. It's about the heart. And if it's simply Jesus help, that's good enough. That actually might be excellent. So, all right.
So here you can hear the song again. I got two versions. Got a rhythmic version and a howling version.
I don't know.
You want to hear the howl or the rhythmic?
Rhythmic. I'd rather just
rhythmic.
Yeah, please. sounds pleasant.
They dress me up in a robe of pride. He wears the crown of thorns for disguise. They call me judge, but I can't decide. The truth's a shadow in my eyes. I wash my hands in a basin of doubt. The power they see is just a shout. I wear this mask, they all believe, but I'm the fool who's been deceived. I'm the fool who's been deceived. The crowd's a wave that pulls me under. Their voices crash like distant thunder. I play the part they wanna see, but I'm no king, I'm not set free. I wash my hands in a basin of doubt. The power they see is just a shout. I wear this mask, they all believe, but I'm the fool who's been deceived. I'm the fool who's been deceived. This seed of stone, it cuts my skin. A throne of lies where truth won't win. I hold the gavel, but I can't command. The weight of fate slips through my hands. I said, behold the man in chains, but it's my soul that bears the stains. They think I rule, they think I reign, but all I feel is endless pain. Wash my hands in a basin of doubt. The power they see is just a shout. I wear this mask, they all believe, but I'm the fool who's been deceived. 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 I'm the fool who's been deceived.